I did too.
No.
Fuck, I did. All right, we'll start over. We're starting over.
What?
We're back. Yo,
What's good?
35th episode of the Streamer's Paradise podcast. We got Clutch, Bo, and our special guest tonight, Ragnarok.
What's going on?
I muted the thing because whenever we're sitting in there and I go live, I don't want anyone to hear us, right? So it's like I mute the broadcast because I have the background music plugged in. Let me get my alert box out of here too. Yo, so sorry. Thank you guys for the subscription. Thank you, Aspen. Ghost, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that, Ghost, for the follow. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry about that in the beginning. We got a special episode for you guys tonight. We're gonna talk about the very first, I guess it's the first recorded alien abduction that kind of started it off, right? Kind of started this thing off that it spawned different movies. It spawned documentaries, countless documentaries and movies. And this is the first recorded alien abduction that we have, on record, I suppose, right? So this is Benny and Barney Hill. And this happened in 1961, I think. I'm going to pull up this screen here, give you a picture of what they look like. I'm going to give you a little rundown on the story. So, Clutch and Bo, you guys are not familiar with this, right?
No, not whatsoever. I mean, I know of aliens, but not this particular story you guys are about to talk about.
Right, so this right here is, I mean, it's really hard to see them. I wonder if I can zoom in on it. Let me see if I can just make it bigger here.
You buy the control mouse, you move the control and move the mouse up, I think. Usually how I zoom into the website.
What is it?
Control and then the scroll wheel on the mouse, maybe?
Yeah, boom. All right, so there they go. This is what they looked like.
Wow, okay.
So this was in 1961. They so hold on. Let me give you a little rundown of, I'm fucking this up. Let me give you a little rundown real quick on who they were as people, because for being the very first recorded incident, I did anyway. I wanted to know a little bit about their background, like who were they as people? Because if you're going to say I was abducted by aliens, because at this time in 1961 there wasn't aliens, right? Like aliens didn't really, there wasn't a thing yet. I think UFOs were just starting. I don't really know that they were.
If there was, people definitely weren't coming forward with reports.
If there was, people weren't coming forward with reports. All right. So Benny and Barney Hill, by all accounts, right, were normal couple. right? Betty was a social worker. She graduated from the University of New Hampshire, and Barney was a postal worker. Both Benny and Barney were active civil servants of their community, members of the NAACP, members of the local Unitarian Church. In addition, Barney was on the local board of the U.S. Civil Rights Commission and a veteran of World War II. So these people were established members of the community. They were not some decrepit, drug-abusing, whatever you want to call it. They weren't that. They were good people. Now, this story starts off with them coming back from a vacation, and it was in Canada. So they're driving home from Canada, and they're in New Hampshire. And as they're driving, they see a ship flying above them, and they say that it tracks them for about 30 miles. Now, Barney and Betty were not afraid of this craft. They were actually trying to wave it down and say, hey, what are you? Who are you? Right? Like, as bizarre as that may sound, that's what they were trying to do. So they paced them for about 30 miles until Barney decided to stop. He stopped and he went into his trunk where he got binoculars. All right? Once he got his binoculars and he looked out, right, he saw on the ship that there was this very wide glass panel that wrapped around the entire ship. And he could see people or beings standing in these windows looking at him. Okay? Now, what he ended up saying was that while looking into the binoculars, he was told essentially, like, don't move. Stay there. We'll be right down. Like, telepathically.
Right.
And this terrified him, right? Right, Ragnarok? Is that am I going there? So why don't you take it from there?
Right. So at that point, like Hazeyy said, he reported that they were talking to him telepathically, and they got scared, which I think any normal person would get scared. And then so they ended up getting back in their vehicle and traveling another 30 miles down the road. And going down the road, they ended up coming across a couple of these beings that he had saw in the spacecraft in the road, blocking them. So they decided to get out of the vehicle again, and they're speaking to him telepathically again. Barney becomes under some kind of mind control, and they were able to get him and Betty both into the craft. So Barney, like I said, Barney was under some kind of mind control. Betty was, but her claim says that she wasn't totally under control, because she ended up putting up a fight and ended up ripping the dress that she had been wearing that night.
So I'm going to pull that picture up for you. So this is the dress that he was just talking about right here with this rip at the bottom. This is their evidence, right? Because we're going into this with skepticism and all that. We're not saying 100% this is accurate. Like, this is the story of the first alien abduction, and these were part of her claims of proof, right? Her dress was ripped, and that there was pink stains on them as well, right, Ragnarok?
Yeah, it ended up being stained by something.
It was actually of a material or a product in which we can't locate here, right? It's an unknown.
Yep. They weren't able to pinpoint what it was. Nothing.
The pink coloring powder, or whatever, the residue.
Yep.
See, when I look at this, though, I'm not sure if I see a struggle, right? That looks to me like it was cut with scissors, right? Like, that's a very straight.
Yeah, it definitely looks like, like maybe she took a pair of scissors and cut a chunk out of it. But what's interesting about the dress is, is like you stated, the residue that they found when they did testing and back in the 60s, I don't know how great their forensic testing was back then, but they weren't able to identify the residue. So that makes it, a very interesting situation, considering that they. Go ahead.
To this day.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, so we don't know what that is, that powder.
Right.
The
Let's
event they
continue
spoke
on.
about, was that one day too, or?
So this happened in 2 hours?
Oh, okay.
Am I right in that, Ragnarok? It happened.
Yes. Yeah. This all happened within, a couple 2-3 hours. This whole abduction.
Wow. Okay.
So let's pick up right there where, so to summarize what Ragnarok had just said and what I said, they were coming home from a vacation. They're driving, they see this ship, they're not afraid. They stop, they're afraid, they run, they feel compelled to stop, they see people. These people lead them onto a ship. Right, Barney and Betty they try to put them under some kind of hypnosis, some kind of like mind control. Barney is under the spell, and Betty's not. She actually is fighting. She's fighting them, and which is what causes this interaction that messes up her clothing. She actually says that they didn't look alien-like, right? Like they had humanoid, they had a human. They spoke. She said they spoke English like someone who didn't speak English as their first language. So pick up from there, where they are led on to the ship.
Okay. First, so as far as she describes these beings, like you said, like they spoke English, but she described it as if it was a foreigner coming over and like they had spoke broken English. But so she puts up a fight. Like they already had at this point, they've already have Barney. They're doing whatever they're doing with him, and Betty's putting up a fight. Her dress gets ripped, and they both ultimately end up in 2 different examination rooms. So, they and while they're examining Betty, they're telling her that she has nothing to worry about. They're not going to hurt her. They're just going to check her over. And then they're just interested in what they are, pretty much. And then so they just she describes it as being just pretty much a normal routine medical exam. Nothing too crazy. And then she says that she has after the examination she has a conversation with she calls the leader, and she's asking them, where they're from, and they show her a star map, and then a star map of Zeta Reticuli. It's you've got that, don't you? Yep. So that's what she drew, that's what they showed her, and that's what she ended up drawing to show the authorities when they ultimately reported the incident. So apparently these beings are from wherever this place is at.
So she drew this in 1961. So we're not skipping ahead so much, but this is the answer that that she was given. She was given the answer that she was shown this drawing, essentially, right? Like the being drew this for her and showed her this, so that way that's what she interpreted and then ended up bringing back as information.
Yes.
Right. So before we even get into when she tells the authorities about this, let's continue on, right? So she's doing the medical exam. One thing I wanted to add was she was incredibly scared of them doing this certain test with a needle in her navel. And I guess they were there was 2 conflicting stories. I heard 2 stories. I heard one was they went to put the needle in her navel and it hurt, so they waved their hands over it and the pain went away. But then I heard an interview with her where she said that they stopped doing it because it hurt. Did you hear those 2 different stories too, Ragnarok?
the one where she felt pain and they stopped doing it. That's the one that I know.
Yeah, I think the mainstream like version of events that's been kind of like amplified over the course of time, because Ragnarok and I have done digging on this abduction for probably about a week now, at least, just for this, not including his time previous being involved in this, right?
Right.
So that happens there, and then what happens after that? What happens after they're on the ship and the exam's over, and she has this conversation with the leader about where they're from? He expresses that to her. Then what happens?
Well, they continue to talk about like the types of animals and plants that they have on the planet, and then it goes into Barney's examination, which it sounds like his examination was much more thorough. Like they were really interested in his bone structure. Like they checked his spine, they his joints and like his range of movement and all that stuff. And like they were really interested in his particular bone structure. And of course they did they did according to his recollection, they did the stereotypical probing.
Right.
So but as far as the examination, so that as far as his examination, that was pretty much it. And then all of a sudden they were escorted out of the craft, and when they were able to come to and had full control over their faculties, they were standing in front of their vehicle.
And 2 hours had gone by.
Yep.
Did they Now I'm unaware if they knew that right away, that 2 hours had gone by. Did they know that immediately?
Barney didn't realize how much time had went by until they got into the vehicle.
Right, and then it had taken them quite some time after the fact, right? And I'm gonna let you talk about that, but they didn't know really what had happened to them when it happened initially. Right? Like they didn't really know that it had happened. Like they knew something weird happened, but they didn't really know what had happened.
Yeah. So Barney explained. He described it as kind of a euphoric feeling when they came to, and they were in their vehicle, and they really had no idea what had happened. The craft was long gone by this time, and they're in their vehicle. They're sitting in their vehicle, and they continue home. And over the course of the next few days, Barney experiences this intense anxiety and for no reason. It's something that he
feels something nasty in him, right?
Yep, yep. And so like I said, so he feels like this intense anxiety, something that he doesn't usually experience. So that raises some concerns with him, with him and his wife Betty, and they ultimately start to remember over the course of the next few days what had happened, but there's still pieces of their memory that were gone, that they couldn't remember. So they ultimately reported the incident to the authorities and explained to them what happened, and ended up going to a hypnotherapist.
But how much time do you want to talk about their personal life, like in between then? Because there was a long period of time, right?
Go ahead. I'm not sure. I don't really know a whole lot about what happened in between.
Yeah, so it actually, in between that time, there took it was a 2-year period. From when he reported this abduction to the authorities to when he actually went under hypnotherapy. And during those 2 years, he felt sick so much, so often, he developed ulcers, and he lost his job at the post office. Right? He didn't lose his job. He went on a leave, like a medical leave. because he was so anxious and so messed up from this traumatic experience that he didn't really understand either, right? Like, he knew something had happened, but he wasn't really sure. When he tells the police what's going on, he's basically saying, yeah, like, these men in black stopped me and, like, they took me. But I don't really know nothing else. Like, that's kind of what the story was. Like, I saw this ship.
They couldn't remember.
I seen these men in black, and I don't know what else. You know, like, that was what his story was.
It didn't help, right? The police?
No, hell no. They didn't do shit.
Do
you guys want to ask anything about it? Like, what we're talking about so far?
So how long did what was the time period between when, the supposed abduction happened to when they actually reported to the police?
Go ahead, Ragnarok.
I believe it was just a matter of a couple days when they first reported it.
Okay.
Like, to the police, you're talking about. Like, they went to the police because something was strange.
Yep.
Then they didn't do shit, and then 2 years, and now to this hypnotherapy part. Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm waiting for you to tell me that they're in a straitjacket somewhere.
No, well,
back then, like, I would have said they would have assumed he was crazy.
Well, he thought he was crazy. He thought he was crazy.
Well, mind you, they were a mixed racial couple back in the 60s.
That on top of everything.
Yeah, I'm sure that
That plays a big part too. Okay.
Huge that the people wouldn't want to help them, especially at that time. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to take them seriously. It was peak racism, like, ending Martin Luther King stuff. You know what I mean? And that's no excuse, but it is that's what it is, right? Like, it had to have been
what it was back then. Yeah.
Right, it had to have been part of the reason for what was going on. So nevertheless, they didn't get help. 2 years go by. Barney, this esteemed World War II veteran, is so sick with an ulcer. Now, this man was aware of aircrafts. He had never seen this before. He's not crazy. He's not a crazy person. He's been to war. He's a post office employee, pillar of his community.
Well, that was the whole reason why he got out of the vehicle in the beginning, is try to identify the craft, because he thought it was just, your typical aircraft, because he was familiar from being in World War II.
Right. So he's looking at it going, what is that? Talking with his wife, right? So this all happens, 2 years of torture. His life falls apart because he knows something's not right. He then goes to hypnotherapy. Go ahead, Ragnarok. Pick it up from the hypnotherapy part.
So when he goes under hypnosis, and then he starts to go into a little bit more detail about his examination. And and when I was talking about his examination initially, I did kind of jump ahead, but during his hypnosis session, like, he does talk about how he was probed and they took sperm samples, but the main thing about his hypnotherapy session was the fear that you could hear in his voice. The guy was terrified.
Undeniably.
There was no.
Is this all recorded?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So listen to it?
We could. I think maybe I can play a clip of it real quick while you're telling the story. I can pull a clip up so that way we have it just real quick. But it's really hard to understand. If you want to listen to it, we can link it so that way you can listen to it. It's long. The whole thing is like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's a 40-minute audio. It's a 40-minute audio in 2 sessions.
So 20 and 20? Or 40 and 40?
Well, the whole
thing is 40? Okay.
It's 40 minutes, but it's 2 sessions.
Okay. I'm almost intrigued to...
All right, so let me just pull it up real quick.
Got me thinking of the 4th count right now.
All right, so let's listen to his fear.
It's all right. You all had it now. It's forgotten. You're calm now. Relax. Deeply relaxed. Easy, relax.
It's
You don't have to make any outcry. But you can remember it now. Keep remembering. You feel you have to get your gun. This is going to harm you.
You feel you have to get your gun.
I open the trunk of my car. Did I get it? Did I get back in the car? All right, just keep reasonably calm. And I put it in my coat.
See, and all these memories had been suppressed.
What was that?
I said all these memories had been suppressed. Like,
Yeah. He didn't remember this. I just
He
want to
didn't
get
remember them,
I want to
yeah.
get to the part where he's screaming to Betty, and then we'll get rid of this and we'll continue on with the story.
Looks like it's big. Be there. Look, because from you struck that distance. Cake. And oh, it's still there. You sure it's there? Be there. But looks like it's that distance. I was looking at it with binoculars. I gotta get away.
Here we go, right here.
Oh! Hey! We gotta get away, buddy! All right. Calm down. I'm driving. I gotta get away. Oh, I think you'll be sure he was telling you this. Calm down, you're still asleep. Well, keep staying. Stay there.
Yeah, this is him hypnotized.
Keep looking.
He gets
Just keep looking.
right here.
Stay there.
He gets
And just...
He's right here. He's saying that the alien is telepathically telling him to stay there. I'll be right down. I went over this part, but this is him recollecting it during his hypnosis.
Keep looking.
The fear is undeniable.
Just keep looking.
Just keep
Oh,
looking.
I gotta pull these binoculars away from my
This sounds
eyes.
so intense, yo.
Because if I don't, I'll just keep staying there.
If I don't, I'll just keep
Did you hear him
standing.
tell you this? Oh, no, he didn't say it. You felt he said it. I know. You know he
Just
there, yeah. Just stay there. He's
Yeah,
saying to me.
prays to God to give him strength to be able to look
I'll
away.
be in my head. Just pull the binoculars away. God, give me strength. All right. Pull them down. Run! Pull these binoculars down and run. God! If there's my God, give me strength. I gotta get away. Oh! Hey! We gotta get away, buddy! All right.
Facts.
All right, no more. Jesus, man. It's out of fucking order. It's out of
crazy.
fucking order. The fear. Tell me that's not fear.
No, that's straight fear, man.
Bro, yeah, he's scared.
I had to turn on my lights.
Legit. Bro, I
the
literally
Drag
had
him to that
goosebumps,
hypnosis
dude.
real quick. Like, hold up.
actual terror in his voice was beyond anything I was expecting to hear when I started to do the research on this video. I mean, like on this abduction, right? So go ahead, Ragnarok. During his hypnosis, this is what was uncovered.
So one of the biggest things that it seems to be with his hypnosis thing that frightened him the most were the eyes, because he repeatedly says those eyes. All I see is eyes. All these eyes, and he also states that it felt like when they were in his head that it felt like their eyes just like went through him and went into him, and that's it's crazy. But he repeatedly talks about the eyes and how terrified the eyes made him. Then, like I said, he goes into his what they did to him in his examination with the anal probing, and then taking sperm samples, and then
No orgasm for the sperm.
no.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the sperm was collected without an orgasm, but he knew it was taken, which is strange, right? It's kind of strange to know that your sperm sample was taken, but you didn't experience an orgasm. That comes out in the hypnosis as well,
Right.
which is fucking bizarre. Like, who even thinks to make that up as a lie? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's weird. Yeah, it's very. No, yeah, it's definitely makes you think, makes you scratch your head because it's not something that normally happens.
So continue
Definitely
on.
unexplainable. So, that's that as far as the examination. And like I had stated, after the exam, he goes into the as far as the hypnosis goes. He talks about how when he was able to come when he's saying that he's standing in front of his vehicle and he's looking at Betty, and Betty has this remarkable smile. He's got a remarkable smile, and it's just that they both feel euphoric, and then they get in their vehicle and they drive home. That's
So once they report it, they get denied. 2 years goes by, they do this hypnosis. Then what becomes of them? Like, what becomes of them after the fact? Like, how does it end?
well, it ends with them, it's living their life until, they end up having a couple kids, and ultimately Barney ends up passing away. And
Fairly soon after, though, right? Like he only dies like 8 years after he's abducted.
yeah, it's not very long after. I don't know the exact year to be honest with you, but
Yeah, 1961. This happened. So he had. So
well,
that's the
I
other
was
thing.
meaning when he passed away.
So that's the other thing. Now his niece has an abduction story as well. Betty went on to do interviews for years, right up until she died, about this.
There's a couple movies and there's a couple books.
I want to talk about this more though. Give me a question on it, boys. Give me something.
So actually, I got some questions though. Like, did he ever go back to work? Like, so he went hypnosis, and you hear that, like, so for starters, right? You could say he made up a story. Everybody could say this. Like, when you're under hypnosis, like, you're not yourself, so to say. Right? Like, it's hard to like lie under hypnosis. It's hard to make that stuff up. But like, so after that, did he go back to work? Did they just kind of like settle down for him, or was he always like on edge after that?
No, he was never well after the fact.
Yeah, he was never. Yeah, definitely never the same.
So that could be part of the early.
So he
death.
was very sick after the fact too. He had these bleeding ulcers. He never went back to work, and he was never the same after. I don't know his exact
Thank
cause
you,
of
Big
death.
Pete. Yep, he died in 1969.
Yeah. No, I knew that he died in 1969 for sure, but how did he die? He died 8 years after. How did he die exactly?
I'm not sure exactly how he died. I don't
He was
think
46. It doesn't say how he died.
Yeah.
Doesn't say, not that I can see.
That's weird.
Yeah. 46 years old isn't very old.
So-
Inconclusive.
They were saying that the car even had these, like, the car, when it was chasing them, the car essentially chased them for 30 miles, right? And there was this, like, scraping at the top of the car because it just hovered right over them. So there was a discoloration on the hood. What if he isn't
Yep.
dead and they took him? Imagine.
Oh, that's crazy.
They got
That's
him in
crazy.
Antarctica.
Did he remember too much, Barney?
So the
Oh.
thing is that they analyzed that star map, right? The interpretation of Betty Hill's purported alien star
J-
map.
Yep. Zeta Reticuli.
Yeah. So in 1968, Marjorie Fish, this I don't know what she is. I don't know what she's. Some kind of cosmos doctor. I don't know what those are. But they
Astrologer.
astrologer, yeah. But she was an amateur astronomer, amateur. Right?
There you
She
go.
was intrigued by the star map, right? And she wondered if it might be deciphered to determine which star system the UFO came from, assuming that one of the 15 stars on the map must represent Earth's sun. Fish constructed a three-dimensional model of the nearby sun-like stars using threads and beads, basing stellar distances on those published in the 1969 Gillies Star Catalog. Studying thousands of vantage points over several years, the one that seemed to match the Hill map was the viewpoint of the double star system of the Zeta Reticuli. 39 light years from Earth. Wow.
So I seen you had another picture when you were showing her drawing. You had another picture. Is
Yeah, so
that,
that's
like,
the
an
real
actual-
one. Yeah, I'll open both of
Okay,
them up
so I-
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one picture is the sketch, and the other picture is the actual star map.
Ah, okay.
And
That's
who knows
insane,
why
though.
she drew those like that, but like, I don't know, man. It's weird.
It's kind of spot on though, like the comparison. You know,
Well, she drew it that way, is because that's how they described it to her. When she had asked
It
them
almost
what-
seems like they were giving her directions.
Yeah. Well,
where to go? Yeah.
I-
Like, oh, we came from here, over to here.
she spent years and years and years of her life going over this whole thing with people, and she would say that she didn't know what the gray style. So there's different types of aliens that are reported, right? What are the different types of aliens, Ragnarok?
So there's 10. There's 10 different kinds. You have your most common that are reported, which are your grays, which are your small, big head, big eye, black eyes, the small little aliens, which you typically hear people talk about when they have an encounter with aliens. Those are what you typically hear. There's reptilians. There's the Anunnaki. And I don't know if you guys, as far as the Anunnaki go, if you're familiar with Ancient Aliens, that is that race of aliens is they talk about that race an awful lot on that show, and however you feel about that show itself, but so there's the Greys, the Reptilians, the Anunnaki. Trying to think what the other ones are right off the top of my head. Those are the three most common ones.
So those are the three most common. So she said that she saw humanoid style. Wow.
Yeah, she described him as looking fairly human.
Right.
The only difference was their eyes were unusually large, and their mouths were small, like their lips were very thin, almost as if there was just a slit cut in their mouth. And she had also like their pupils were almond shaped.
Almond shaped, like sideways.
Okay,
Or
maybe
up and down, whatever.
Yeah, I interpret that as almost like cat eyes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. That's
insane.
reptile kind of, right? Isn't that kind of reptilian?
Reptilian. Yep.
So I wonder if they were in like a disguise, maybe. Who the fuck knows?
So it's okay. Since you mentioned the disguise thing, so as far as reptilians go, I don't know if you guys know, like the whole conspiracy, like we have reptilian aliens that have taken over the government. And they're able to shapeshift. Like that's one of the things.
You've heard that before?
Yeah, I heard of that before. They got like videos of like the what is it, secret agents? It's the people that want presidents. They're like people that look just like them. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
The bald guy that changes. Yep.
Oh my god, he looks insane, bro. That's all fishy too, to be honest.
What?
Like it looks like they're actual reptilians. All these people that they watched the.
Could you imagine? Fucking hell. Like, I mean, like, really, I don't want to go too far off the deep end here, but could you really imagine, just fucking think for 1 second that there were actually shape-shifting fucking aliens running the fucking government?
It's crazy to like not even consider it though in a way too. Like it's I don't know.
I can't even fathom. I can't even fathom. So Barney and Betty Hill, fucking, this guy dies of a cerebral hemorrhage, according to Avenged Pariah. A cerebral hemorrhage. So, I mean, I don't know what causes a cerebral hemorrhage, but it doesn't seem like something.
Isn't that like an aneurysm?
Yeah, right? But, like, imagine it's some alien-related shit. Like, he died young, man.
like a tracker in his brain, and it just malfunctioned.
So they also
Well,
the niece also says that she's been abducted now too. So now they're like abducting the family members of Barney and Betty Hill. Also, if you believe what they're saying out loud, right? The niece of Barney and Betty Hill was very open and giving interviews. I definitely suggest people talking about it.
Well, as far as his niece goes, if you think about it like this, so they were apparently very interested in that couple for a reason, and it would only seem to make sense that, I mean, if you want to continue to examine this type of person, then you would follow the bloodline or look for their family members, because they're going to have similar structure, DNA, all that shit's going to be very similar.
yeah, kids. Wouldn't you want to? Like, kids would be a combination of the two DNAs that you've already sampled.
Yep.
I would assume the kids would be the prime target.
Maybe they don't want to talk. I think that they were talking about how the kids too. I don't know. They were saying that a bunch of family members, like not just them though, right? It was several of them, I think. I'm not sure exactly how many of the family members, but the family members were getting abducted too, and they're all on record. The thing is that there's not a whole lot of information on all these people, like in raw form, right? Like finding the raw footage is kind of difficult. Like everything has already been edited, you know what I mean? So you can't find like extended of anything.
Well,
interview or something.
Yeah. Well, even today, it would still be, it's still hard to be like, oh, hey, you know, I was abducted by aliens, and this is what happened to me. Even today, a lot of people are going to be like, "You're crazy, man. That shit don't happen."
But how would you even say that?
Well, you're right, but I'm just saying, like, even if you were to come forward, like it's you know, dismissed so easily. You know, a lot of people, when you think about people getting abducted by aliens, you think that people are crazy. You know, a lot of people don't. It's not something. It's like, you know, it's like saying you saw Bigfoot. You know, it's not socially accepted.
How would I say that? How if somebody told me they were abducted by aliens, what would I think to them? Like, I'd be like, "Who are you?" Right? Like, I'd wonder like who that person is. And if they were a trustworthy person, like if they wanted to fuck with me for some reason, I don't know. I would have to think so hard. Like that's
like how well do I know you?
Right.
So the thing, and I know that this isn't necessarily this topic. We're gonna start talking more about this because this is a great fucking topic to talk about. But there's other instances of alien abduction that are even beyond fucking fathomable. You know what I mean? Like there's no attention to them as well, right? Like people don't. Why isn't there a massive media spree of these certain things that have happened? Like the Benny and Barney Hill thing. Okay, I get it. It was the first one. Aneurysm can occur in various parts of the body. If it happens to the brain, it can cause a hemorrhage and stroke. Yeah, aneurysm for sure. I definitely wish that we had more information about Barney. I wish Barney lived a little longer to tell his story on camera. It's not on camera. His story's not on camera. Like from his mouth. But Betty tells his story more often than he ever has, other than the hypnosis video. Is that the only thing? Did you find anything else?
No, as far as the audio is of his hypnosis session, that's all I can find. There isn't any video as far as any interviews done with him, or any, like, if he was talked to reporters or anything like that. I wasn't able to find anything like that.
What else you guys got to say?
That hypnotherapy had me reeled in. Like it was like you could hear the fucking scare in his voice.
Oh, he's terrified. He's terrified.
And that type of shit is what convinced me. Like when you guys had that put up, I was fucking terrified of hearing that shit. Like,
I had goosebumps.
Thought I was going through hypnotherapy real quick.
It really is.
You should definitely listen to the whole thing.
But that type of shit, that's what I believe. Like if I hear the whole 40 minutes, I'll probably be just more convinced about it, to be honest.
It's chilling.
I've never been hypnotized. I'm honestly scared. Like I don't like the thought
idea of it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if it is true, right? Like I don't like the thought of not being in control of myself, right? So like I'm scared to ever volunteer or give it a try because if like but if that is true, like everything they say about it, like this guy isn't even really conscious telling the story, right? Like it's you know what I mean? Like he's literally like pulling memories that he's seen and can't even remember.
Right.
So what are you saying? It's guaranteed to be true?
It's like if hypnosis is
what if it was a dream?
That's a very descriptive dream.
I mean, I've had a lot of dreams and none of them were that descriptive, especially 2 years later.
Not to mention to be so terrified.
I've had some scary dreams.
Well, I've had some scary dreams and like, but like 2 years later, could I tell you in detail?
I can tell you a couple of my scary dreams throughout the course of my life that fucking shook me to my core. You can't?
One thing I can say about dreams.
When I was a child.
Yeah, but still, you remember that shit. Now you're 30 fucking 4 or 35, whatever.
35,
Don't fucking play with me, bruh. I got you, right? What's the scary dream?
No.
Let's talk about it.
You want to say my scary dream? I don't
Yeah,
know
what's your
why.
scary dream?
It's not even that scary. Like when you think, I mean, it is scary. I was attacked by a dog. I have not in real life. Like I had the same reoccurring dream, bro, and it was the same thing over and over. Every time I had the
But
dream,
you were
I was
absolutely
walking down my street,
terrified of this.
terrified of this. Yeah, and I had a dog. Like I had a dog. So it's not like I grew up scared of dogs. And I was never attacked by a dog, but in this dream, I was walking down the street, walking past my friend's house who doesn't own a dog, or didn't own a dog, and the dog would bust through his gate and literally just like tear me to shreds in the street.
What about you, Ragnarok? What's yours?
Well, so I don't know. As far as dreams go, dude, I couldn't tell you. But as far as so back to the alien abduction thing. You guys I'm sure you guys have heard of sleep paralysis, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was my scariest dream.
So like so a lot of the reports of alien abductions or having aliens standing around your bed. A lot of people associate that with sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Which is, I just thought it was interesting.
So you don't have a scary dream from when you were a kid, though?
Not that I can remember. I mean, I don't dream very often.
I could talk about it. That was literally my scariest dream. Like sleep paralysis, to get in more detail about that, is like you wake up in your bed,
but you're frozen.
But you're frozen. You can't move a fucking muscle, nothing. And this is when I lived back in Elizabeth and whatnot. And I remember we just moved into a new house, and we lived in the attic. And these walls are so thin, right? So you could hear every movement in these walls. You could hear like the first floor. I lived in the attic, so the first floor you can hear the stairs coming up. Somebody goes to the second floor. They coming up to the attic, right? I'm in this dream. I wake up. It's like 6 a.m. or some shit. I'm about to go to school. I remember I was in high school or some shit. And I wake up. I'm in that state. I'm frozen. I can't move. I'm stuck in that fucking bed. And then out of nowhere, I hear somebody running up the stairs from the first floor, right? And then coming back up to the second, and then going back up, but then went back down, right? Going and then went back outside. It kept doing it like 3 or 4 times, just running up and down the stairs. I'm fucking freaking out on my bed. I'm trying to move and shit.
And they can't move. Oh my God.
I can't move. I'm there just stuck. And I remember I left, at least I remember, hope I remember this, that I left my door open the night before, right? It was a little cracked open. And at this one time, when it went back outside, it didn't come back for like a good like 20, 30 seconds. And after that, I hear it fucking like charging, boom, going all the way up the first floor, boom, to close the fucking the other door, and then come up to the fucking attic, and then it closes my door. And the fucking moment it closed my door, I woke up. And
so it's basically just footsteps running up and down the stairs and then slamming into your door. That's your scary ass dream.
It was scary because I was stuck there in my bed, and I remember closing the door the day before.
Yo.
So that don't sound like no dream. It sounds like your house is haunted,
I'm not
bro.
shitting on you, right? My dream was this. When I woke up in my bed, in my dream, Freddy Krueger was in my doorway with his head down. And he like slowly looked up at me, pulled out his fucking claw and went, "Ah!" And as soon as he went to hit me, I woke up. Terrified. Terrified.
Damn.
Back to the aliens. Let's see what the chat says real quick.
Sleep paralysis, no joke. It's really scary. And it wasn't my only time, guys. I'm not crazy.
Four aliens
sleep
came into
paralysis
my
usually
bedroom.
happens a few times.
My parents are very religious. After that, we passed the egg, blessed the house. I was good from that day, but
Jesus,
I
Big
believe in
Pete.
that stuff.
Yeah, a dream within a dream. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
man,
so I would wake
yeah,
up.
see, that's what I was talking about.
I would wake up in my dream and be like, oh shit. I've woken up in a dream before and been like, I'm dreaming. Have you ever done that?
That's
Yo,
what
so
we-
actually,
able to control it at that moment. No,
Not really
so
able to
that's-
control it so much, but being aware. That happened to me when I was locked up, man. I used to dream of my family, and I would be like aware of them, like that I was like there. It was fucked up. I don't want to talk about that, but fucking.
after having like that dream that I was telling you about, after having that enough times, I was able to like stop it, like tell myself I was dreaming and just like wake up. Or weird, oddly enough, at some age, I was able to walk past that house, look at the dog running at me, and just keep walking. It's so fucking weird.
You know, so there's no way that this, in your experience with dreaming, there's no way that Barney and Betty Hill could have dreamt
Your volume cut out. What was that?
There's no way that Barney and Betty Hill could have dreamt this encounter in your minds.
I
then.
don't, man. No, I don't think.
No, I mean, they would have to have the same dream.
Yeah, they'd have to have
That's
the same
true. They
dream.
would have had to have.
But like.
Yeah, fuck. That
I've
totally
never been
ruins it.
hypnotized. I've never been hypnotized. He's starting to walk away. It's like I've never been hypnotized, right? So I can't like vouch for that. But knowing what I know about it, I feel like it would be hard for them to put this emotion into something they knew wasn't real. Because if it's a dream, like ultimately, you have these scary. If you have a scary dream, you ultimately wake up and know that it's not real.
Right, for sure.
Right. So for them to be under hypnosis with that much emotion, it makes it hard for me to believe that it was a dream.
That,
That
it was,
they're
that
recollecting.
they fabricated it.
Yeah. Like
Well,
I know
I mean,
a lot of liars,
yeah.
like pathological liars, but like
So that's the thing. So that'd be the thing about dreams, you know, like they would have had to have had the same dream, which is nearly impossible.
yeah.
And then you could go as far as maybe they were under the influence of something, but then they're having the same, like let's just entertain the idea that they may have been hallucinating, but now they're hallucinating the same thing, and that doesn't happen
Together.
either.
Well, and at the end of all of this, we still have a substance, regardless of again if that dress was cut on purpose. There's still a substance that cannot be identified.
Yep. Yeah, that's like that's the smoking bullet for that whole
Right, because you
situation.
can't-
Or they don't want it identified.
No, that could be it too.
Well, the law or NASA, whoever, like.
Whoever the fuck is controlling their shit, they're just like, fuck it, keep it under the rug.
Well, I'm saying, but like,
The
because
dark side of the moon.
if you were to believe that,
So much conspiracies, guys. That's fucking...
yeah, I'm saying if you were to believe, like, not believe the conspiracy, but just believe like that, hey, they were trying to prove it's something. Like anything we have access to, right? If we can make any concoction of anything, they'll be able to identify the chemicals. So
as long as it's earth based.
that's what I'm saying. As long as it's I'm saying anything that I can go and make in my backyard,
Right.
they would be able to identify. So for them to have a chemical that's not identifiable is a whole nother thing that wouldn't come from a dream.
Right.
Big
For sure.
Pete, that's badass. Marcus, it's all good. They could have taken acid together. I could believe that. I could believe that for sure.
That's what we were just saying.
Yeah, I just
They
mentioned
were
that. Like
hallucinating.
you can't
They
hallucinate.
would've
You're not
had
going to
to
have the same
same-
hallucination.
Well, you can
You
trip
can.
together. Yeah, you can.
You
right?
can, you
Can't
can.
you?
You
Hey, you
can-
don't.
I don't know.
You're
So
not
it's
gonna
like, you
have.
can-
You're not gonna have
You
a
can
total.
trip together, but
you're
you're
not-
hallucinate.
Yeah, I know
So-
what you mean.
Right.
Your hallucinations are not going to be identical, but they're also you
They'll
also
be
aren't-
similar, but yeah,
you're not going to
identical.
hallucinate actual things unless you took some wildly fucking potent shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think they got abducted personally.
I lean that way myself.
Based on what I see, I would have to say I would agree, because no, I don't know. Mostly it's that hypnosis video they got. I mean, the
That's,
That's
unidentified
compelling.
stuff is just one thing.
That's one thing right there for sure.
But can be hidden, right? But then the hypnosis thing that's different. Like I like listen. I didn't. What do we watch? 40 seconds, a minute,
Yeah.
and to hear that much emotion, like he sounded genuinely terrified.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I would probably be extremely terrified if I was in that situation myself.
Chase me
I
down the
probably would've-
street.
I almost want to
probably
go
would've,
get. I almost want to go get hypnotized now, just to verify like how it is.
To unlock some hidden traumas in your life.
No. Just to say, okay, like just to say, like, all right, like Barney's making shit up.
No, you
Or
can
not,
you
you
can
know?
you can joke around, next gen. Don't be sorry, man. I don't know what happened to them. I'm just saying.
I wasn't with them, yeah.
I wasn't there for, like, you know what I mean? At all. I don't fucking. I have
Not for
no.
nothing. That wasn't even a thought back then. You know, like I don't know.
I think my fucking dad was 7.
My mom was 1. She was born in
When you,
60.
when you think about it, okay, we're gonna talk about this a lot more. We're gonna try to do this as more of a normal thing. This is the first story. There's so much more stories after this, right?
And the
guys?
one
Like,
that I want to do
Oh, man.
next, the one that I
Like-
want to do next is the children of Zimbabwe.
That's wild. That's a
That-
wild one.
I seen a little clip of it and I saw like the shit about it. Yeah, we gotta say that for the next time we do this. Go into detail about that one. That's
The
also an
children
insane
of
story.
Zimbabwe is very scary.
Imagine being those kids. Holy shit.
And it's all kids telling the story, and there's so much of them that's identical to it. It's like all these kids can be lying about this shit, right? Stay tuned for the next one.
I mean, honestly, what else can we? What you can't? These
Yeah.
kids. I don't want to like just play a video of like these kids talking for the whole hour, but like that's the only way to really get across the seriousness of these small children. Now, the only way that I can describe this is either the government played an incredible trick on these children, right? Like some government, not just, you know, not any government, not their government, like any government, right? Maybe us. Somebody played a massive trick on them.
I
Massive.
guess it's
Yeah,
possible.
kids don't usually like correlate a huge lie and keep it together. I don't know.
they're-
I've never seen this, so I can't tell you how long. Like, I don't know the stories, but like, I have kids, and they can't correlate a fucking lie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no,
they can make up a
definitely-
story, but that shit will change in 2 minutes when you ask them again.
Yep.
Oh, and bro, they do hypnosis every year at the State Fair in MetLife.
At the state-
I mean, I'm not
At the
100. I
state
don't want to
fair?
walk around.
I
with
saw it.
boxes of
I
chicken.
saw one. I mean, but those guys, it's kind of crazy, that performance, man. Like, it makes me think like hypnosis. I want to try it too. I can't
not like
knock it till I try it.
I've wanted to try it, but I'm so afraid of. And it's not that that I'm worried that somebody's gonna do something dangerous, right? You're on TV, you're on a stage or whatever, right? I just don't like the idea. I don't want to give up control. It's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to give control of me to somebody else.
Avenged Briar, you're right. But in this particular situation, the guy, the practitioner doing the hypnosis does not steer this guy in any direction. He asks what happens, and Barney just goes off. So there's no.
That's true.
Like, you know, he's not trying to steer this guy in any particular direction. He just asks what happens, what he remembers, and it all comes out.
I was gonna say, like in the minute, 45 seconds to a minute that we watched on stream, all he really did was tell Barney to calm down because Barney was freaking out.
Yeah.
So we got to end up here, guys. This is it for today. We're going over to Sour Diesel. This is Ragnarok's Twitch down here. I'm posting it in the chat. Drop him a follow if you haven't, guys.
What's good?
Let's go.
Show him some love. Thanks for being here
Yeah.
with us, man. Let's do this again.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was fun. We will be back soon for another one. And go drop him a follow. Do you got anything you want to plug real quick? Or is your Twitch channel good for you?
Nah, that's good. It's all
All right.
good.
Dropping it one more time for him. Make sure you drop him a follow. Guys, great episode. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Later.
Later.
Later, guys.
Everybody, peace out.